Let's talk about another rising star in the Republican Party, Sarah Palin. Do you think that Sarah Palin is presidential material?
Well, sure. I mean, she's been a mayor and a governor and has a lot of a national following, but I think the more people in a presidential race, the better. She's never contacted us and vice versa.
Let's talk about some of your specific views. You are pro-choice, yes?
Yep.
And gay marriage is legal in the state of Massachusetts, but the Republican Party platform language calls for the overthrow of Roe v. Wade, and they want a federal ban on gay marriage. Are you out of step with your party, or do you think that the party has to broaden it and change its platform?
Well, I've always been a big tent person. You know, we need more people to come into our tent to express their views in a respectful and thoughtful manner. And you know, Roe v. Wade is the law of the land, but I think we need to do more to reduce the amount of abortions. And the difference between me and maybe others is that I'm I'm against partial birth abortions, I'm against federal funding of abortions, and I believe in a strong parental consent notification law. And we should do more for adoptions.
But you're still pro-choice?
Yes, because I feel this issue is best handled between a woman and her doctor and her family. And on the marriage issue that you brought up, it's settled here in Massachusetts. I believe that states should have the ability to determine their own destiny, and that the government should not be interfering with individual states' rights on issues that they deal with on a daily basis.
Well, there is the debate now in the Republican Party as to whether it should be more conservative or more moderate. Which direction do you bend in?
They can do whatever they want. I just know that I'm a Scott Brown Republican, and what does that mean? That means I'm going to go down there and be accountable, accessible, open and honest, and I'm going to bring good government and fairness back to the equation. I'm a fiscal conservative. I care very deeply about, because my mom was, as you probably know more than anybody, is, you know, she was on welfare for a time. I remember getting the blocks of cheese and worrying about how we're going to pay the bills. So when it comes to fiscal issues, I'm going to be very conservative and concerned about people's dollars.
And social issues a little more moderate.
When they yeah, of course.
Let's talk about the President's State of the Union.
I know it's an election year, and after last week, it's clear that campaign fever has come even earlier than usual.
Do you see any evidence in his speech that he got a message from your election?
On some issues, yes. I was encouraged that he was interested in doing nuclear power and doing some limited drilling under the proper circumstances. I felt his position on pointing out that Iran is certainly a very serious issue, and I'm hopeful that I can work with him on that. I thought how he's handling, obviously, Afghanistan. I was very vocal in supporting his position on increasing the troops. I was encouraged by the fact that he's going to do a freeze on spending, and more importantly, also look at tax reductions. But I think we need to be a little bit bolder. We need to make sure that we get a handle on spending and taxation.
President Obama has asked for a spending freeze on almost everything except matters like the military, Social Security, and Medicare. He says he's going line by line through the budget. Now, you have said that's not enough for you, that you want to cut spending and not just freeze it. So what are the first 3 items that you would cut?
And the problem with what the president said is he's not doing it until 2011. We need to do it immediately. We need to put a freeze on federal hires and federal raises, because, as you know, federal employees are making twice as much as their private counterparts. And I'm in favor of the Judge Gregg's proposal, the bipartisan effort, almost like a BRAC closure,
which was defeated.
And I thought the president did the right thing by saying through executive order he's going to bring it up. I would have supported the ability for him to do that.
On Friday, President Obama announced what he called the best way to promote hiring. We're talking about jobs, especially for the small businessmen. A $5,000 tax credit for each new employee added, and tax relief for those companies that add to their payroll. The total cost is $33 billion. If and when this became a bill, would you vote for it, yes or no?
Yes.
The health care. Massachusetts requires that all residents purchase health insurance. You voted for that plan.
Sure.
So why doesn't it make sense that all Americans have health insurance? Why isn't what's good for Massachusetts good for the whole country.
In Massachusetts, the free market, the free enterprise has taken control, and they're offering a wide range of plans. I've never ever said that people should not get health insurance. It's just a question of we're going to take a one-size-fits-all government plan, or we're going to do something where the individual states can tailor their plans as we've done.
Do you think the whole plan should be scrapped?
Yes.
And the whole plan?
Yes.
You don't
You need to
see
go
that
back
there
to-
could be some things that could be goodbye to the whole plan?
I think it was on its last legs before I even got elected, because the Democrats even were upset at the backroom deals, for example, in Nebraska, and they want a chance, I believe, based on just what I'm hearing, and I'm not going to quote anybody directly, that to go back to the drawing board and do it in a transparent, bipartisan manner. That's the big difference between Massachusetts and Washington.
And then would you want it state by state?
I have to see what's being proposed. A lot of states want that flexibility. They do not want the federal government always being in their business to say you have to do it this way, and this way. But other states may not have that ability. They may want more government involvement.
There has been a good deal of criticism of President Obama's economic team. Chairman of the Fed, Ben Bernanke, was
I would have
after a
supported
great
him.
deal of. You would have. Well,
Yes.
he had a lot of criticism, but he's in. Okay. Now Treasury Secretary Tim Geithner is on the hot seat. Should Tim Geithner be replaced?
The president has to work with the people he feels most comfortable with, as I do in my own staff, as you do with the people that are here. And I think that if he feels comfortable with Tim, then he should keep him.
You have been a member of the National Guard for 30 years. You've talked about how important that service is. You're
Yes.
a lieutenant colonel. On Wednesday, the president announced that he wants to work with Congress to repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell.
Mhm.
What's your view?
I think it's important because, as you know, we're fighting 2 wars right now, and the first priority is to finish the job and win those wars. I'd like to hear from the generals in the field, the people that actually work with these soldiers, to make sure that the social change is not going to disrupt our ability to finish the job and complete the wars.
But Senator, your own view.
That's my view.
So you can't say whether you're for or against it.
No, I'm going to wait to speak to the generals on the ground.
President Obama said that in the last year, there were more al-Qaeda terrorists, including leaders, captured or killed than in 2008. Now, obviously, there are incidents like the one on Christmas Day. Do you think that the president has made the country more safe?
I don't think it's just about the president. It's not his job. His job is to be our leader, and he delegates to the appropriate authorities to make those decisions. So I'm not going to give him a grade and say who did President Bush or President Obama, who did the better job. I just want them to continue to do a good job, and I want to be able to provide my knowledge and my energy to helping